So this year's draft might be the worst draft of all time. And like, there are a couple of players that I really like in this draft. I like a lot of players in this draft. And ironically enough, a lot of them are like not playing in college, because I think we all know the college basketball year was not great. Obviously, there's Alex Sarr, who came from Ignite, then the NBL. You've got Reece O'Shea. You've got Topic. You've got Tijan Salone, who is flying up boards. He's as good as he's been in the playoffs in the Pro A. He has been absolutely killing it as far as like just his measurables. He's a really, really good shooter. He's long, he's lengthy, he can dunk. He's not quite there IQ-wise, but he'll get there. I'm like looking through the names in this draft. Even the Ignite guys have a little bit of intrigue about them. But the college guys, I'm not high on any of them. I'm not high. And even when it comes to the college guys, I'm more high on the 4-year guys, thinking maybe, you know what, maybe they might come in and help, like a Tristan Da Silva, Dalton Knecht, a Devin Carter. So these guys they're going to be decent NBA players. But with this freshman class, not many were that good in college. Like we saw all three of, at one stage, like we can't forget, during the time of the NCAA tournament, the mock drafts looked like sarr. It was Sarr, Williams, Dillingham, Shepherd was the top 4. And all three of them stunk it up. All three of them stunk it up in the first round. And if you're looking at guys when you're like, okay, yeah, do they show up when it matters? The 3 of them stunk it up in the first round of the NCAA playoffs. You might be like, okay, yeah, they're young. But it's like, Tijan Salone has had a ascendance in the playoffs in Pro A. I know his team didn't win, but his team wasn't great. He had an ascendance himself. And Zachary Reece O'Shea is looking like one of the best players in the league in this playoffs. And he's putting up comparable numbers to what Wemby did last year in the playoffs. I know they're probably not going to make the finals because they're up against Monaco. They did steal a game on the road. But he was the best player in the road game win. So when it comes to this draft, like, I don't think it's the worst draft of all time for European prospects either, because some guys like Topic is doing pretty well in Serbia, and Nikola Jurisic is doing well. Melvin Ajinka is doing well. Like Bobby Klintman's doing pretty well, or Bobby Klintman's doing well. There's like a lot of guys. There's a couple of guys that have come from Australia are doing well. So it's not the worst draft in the world as far as guys in college that look to be decent role players. Like Reed Shepherd's going to be a role player. I don't know about Rob Dillingham. Cody Williams is going to be a really good role player. I think Klingon, I think Zach Edey are going to be solid players. I don't know how many of them start. And then even like later in the draft, we've like got the likes of Da Silva. You've got Dalton Knecht, who I've seen people drafting Dalton Knecht at 5. And like that just kind of sums up with some of these things I'm hearing about this draft. Like I'm hearing teams are considering Dalton Knecht with a top 3 pick. Like come on now. Like Dalton Knecht top 3. I like the guy. I think he's good, but like, he's a late lottery pick. And you know what? Dalton Knecht could well win Rookie of the Year. Still a late lottery pick. He's 23 years old. He's going to be 23 years old before he's drafted. He's closer to me than a lot of these prospects. Like, is he going to be better at 23 years old than some of these guys after 4 years? After 4 years? Unlikely. But when we look at the guys from overseas, I do think that they do have potential. Like, it's not like next year. Oh man, next year, if you're watching some of these next generation tournaments, like there are legit, I think his name Traore, you've got Hugo Gonzalez. Like if you look at overseas prospects next year, oh man, there's levels to this. And I like a lot of French guys in this year's draft. Guys next year, like I know you got Cooper Flagg, I know you got Ace Bailey, I know you got these guys, but like, man, next year's draft looks to be a deep one. A deep one with like potential superstar talent. And like, I'm looking at this draft and I'm looking at potential superstars. If everything goes right for Alex Sarr, he could be one, but I don't think it's going to happen. If everything goes right for Tijan Salone, he could be one. Don't think it's going to happen. If everything goes right for Matas Buzelis, it could happen. And for the college guys, I'm like, you know what? of the college guys, my favorite is Stephon Castle. I think the best of all the college guys is going to be Stephon Castle. If he wasn't almost talking his way out the lottery, he might be a really, really high pick. Because Stephon Castle, at least he's going to be an elite defender. He's going to be a big guard. He shot the ball well in drills. He's probably going to shoot better than the 25% he shot from three. Still not a great shooter. But with those guys, you've got a lot of really high potential. I don't rate Nikola Topic. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be an NBA player. I think he's in the Josh Giddey mold of a big playmaker who can actually do a lot of stuff, but is going to be so bad at shooting that teams are going to leave him open. And it's going to be a bit of a problem to a team. His playmaking is going to be elite. And a lot of people are like, oh, why would we take Josh Giddey? I was like, man, Josh Giddey's way better than people give him credit for as a basketball player. Forget all the other crap. Just as a basketball player, he just doesn't fit with what OKC want to do. Because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is on the ball, obviously. When Josh Giddey's running the show, when Josh Giddey's able to run the show, he's good. So the OKC Thunder are going to be able to trade him for something decent. And whoever gets him is going to get a hell of a player. But there is just that one major flaw in the fact he's not a great shooter, which I think is Nikola Topic's comparison. Ron Holland from the United has potential to be good. So I'm looking through, like, there are guys that I like, but this could be one of those drafts where you're looking at these late picks, these late first round, these second round picks, that one of them really just steps up. But it just does not look like the greatest year for college. It doesn't look like we're getting the best players out of the NCAA. And I think we're getting guys where other years will go undrafted, be first round selections. We've got years where, again, Reed Sheppard being talked about at number 1. I think Reed Sheppard doesn't go top 10 last year. He doesn't go top 10 a lot of years, to be honest. He really doesn't. So this year's draft, it is not very good. Is it better than 2013? Sure, better than 2013. But, like, we knew the 2013 draft sucked. We knew that draft sucked. Like, we were talking about Alex Len going number 1 the day of the draft. If you guys don't know, when the Cleveland Cavaliers took Anthony Bennett, they tried to trade that pick for like a month before the draft. No one wanted it for anything. There was literally basically anything. They tried to trade down. No one wanted to trade down with him because nobody knew what they wanted. The only teams that knew what they wanted were Orlando at number 2 wanted Victor Oladipo, and Washington at number 3 wanted either Anthony Bennett or Otto Porter. If one of them was gone, they would take the other one. Their first preference was Otto Porter. After that, nobody knew what they wanted in that draft. Like, Sacramento took Ben McLemore. They had no idea he was falling to them. New Orleans had no idea that Nerlens Noel was falling to there. And then when Nerlens Noel suddenly was on the board, still at 6, randomly, like, there was the most random trade ever. The Sixers starting the process by getting Nerlens Noel and trading Drew Holiday because Noel was on the board and they were able to make that trade. So New Orleans went into that draft expecting probably Anthony Bennett, and they came out with Drew Holiday. So, just madness, just absolute madness in that draft. And this draft is going to be something the same as well. Like, obviously we're more on social media and people are able to look at these highlights. People are able to hype up these players more. But, like, we can't forget how bad we knew that draft was going to be. And this draft is going to be equally as bad. Like, when we see there being guys that could go between 2 and 13, we know it's a bad draft. CBS Sport has Cody Williams going 17. I've seen him mocked as high as 3. They've got Rob Dillingham going 16. I've also seen him mocked as high as 3. They have Tejan Salone going 6th. I've seen him mocked as low as 24th. They have Nikola Jurisic going around 20. I've seen him mocked as low as 40 or as low as 58. It is just the most. When you see so much variance in mock drafts and where players are going, it means that, like, no one has a clue what's going on. When no one has a clue what's going on in the draft, normally it's a bad draft. Like, if it's a good draft, like last year, there were a few kind of strange picks, like Bilal Coulibaly jumping up to 7th. A lot of people thought he was going to go in, like, the 9 through 15 range. But, like, there are some. But everyone knew Victor was going 1. One of Scooter Brandon were going 2 and 3. The Thompson twins were not dropping lower than 7. Anthony Black maybe went a little bit higher. Orlando Magic didn't want to take Grady. Like, they literally threw their pick on Jet Howard, even though Grady was there to be taken as the perfect option that everyone knew they wanted, just because they didn't want to have Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black, and Grady DICK on the same team. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I'm like 90% sure that's why they didn't take him, because it was an obvious pick. But, like, we kind of knew where players were going to go roughly. This year, We could see, honestly, we could start, it's just like in 2013 when the projected number 1 picks went down to 5 and 6, and the other projected number 1 pick, the dark horse number 1 pick, went to 7. Like, we're not seeing something like that. Like, we could see a situation where, let's just say it to John Salone. We could see him falling to 24 on this draft. We could see Stefan Castle talk his way out of the lottery. We could see Nikola Topic, if the Spurs pass on him with a load of point guards and his injury history, fall nearly out of the lottery. We could see Buzelis, Ron Holland. It wouldn't be crazy to see these guys fall out of the lottery, nor would it be crazy to see them go top 4. That is how unpredictable this draft is, because it's just not a very good draft. It really isn't. And if Reed Shepherd goes number 1, that cements it as the worst draft of all time.